if I'm identifying overly much with my body, that's an indicator that I'm sort of identifying with what's temporary rather than what's eternal. And so if that's something that's true for you, then offer your body consciousness to the light within you and just say, my heart is so vast, it gives me ability to love even my body consciousness, even the way I'm identifying myself with my body. And I open to be aware of that in me, which is eternal. And what happens then is you'll just be fully present in your daily life. And I know this sounds so simple, but if you just, as a practice right now, just say, I let go of the past. So if you feel like you've been carrying around heavy pain in relation to the past, just for this moment, I let it go. I let go of the future. So if you've been carrying around a lot of fear in relation to the future, just for this moment, you let it go. And you say, I'm here in the present. And in this moment, I stand in the light. And I just allow kindness to fill my heart. And I just allow light to fill my heart. What remains? What remains in that moment?
And good morning, everybody. Good morning, Swami. The topic of our talk today is how to face aging, mortality, and grief. Dun, dun, dun. I'm just kidding. But, that is often the human approach to the question in the conversation around aging, immortality, and grief. It seems to carry with it an inherent heaviness. But I'm here to tell you that that is just misperception. I will start with our first question. What is the yogic perspective on aging, mortality, and grief? So what do the yogis say about it? In the yogic tradition, maybe you've heard of the Trimurti, which is a deity of Hindu gods that represent, are an expression of eternal laws, of eternal truth. The first is Brahma, the creator. There's Vishnu, the preserver, the sustainer. And there is Shiva, the destroyer. Within every life, there are elements of those three energies. Brahma, the creator, is the energy of birth. That is the energy that brings that which is formless into form. And so we see that in the birth of the newborn. We see it when the grass is freshly sprouted. It's also the energy that takes what we call ideas and bring them into form. So everything and on the entire planet that we perceive first existed as an idea. You take away all of the people, and with it too go all of the concepts, all of the identities, all of the, I think this is the right way to do things. I think this is the right way to do things. So Brahma represents that. That is represented in you when we formulate our ideas and we become individuals. Right, so that is the energy of individuality, of identification. And then there is the energy of Vishnu, the preserver, which is within each of us as well. That is the energy, Drew, when you were speaking of moments on a string, that also came to me in my meditation for Vishnu. So if you can think of a necklace, and on that necklace there are beads. Every bead on that necklace is a moment. It is a memory that we may have. And all of them together create continuity. And so that continuity is what you call a life. This is my life. Vishnu is the energy that sustains moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. That seems to create this reality that we call my life. And then Shiva, that's the one everybody's afraid of. Shiva is the energy of mortality, the energy of death, the energy that dissolves the beads. Pure consciousness itself is the string. It's never going anywhere. All of that energy exists on that string, okay? But a lot of times, humanly, we are afraid of the dissolution process. It's a part of it. So one half of the question, how does a yogi approach grief, aging, mortality? Understand, it's just a part of the process. Everything that exists, from the smallest atom to the sun itself, is moving through those stages of creation, being sustained, and coming to its end. Whether that end is, you're here for 30 seconds or if you're here for 3.6 billion years. There is a process that all of those things go through. And then beyond that, there is something deeper. So at the start of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself is full of grief. He is lamenting the mortality of his family members who are on a battlefield where everybody's about to kill one another. He's devastated. And so this is what Krishna says to him. Krishna says, although you mean well, Arjuna, your sorrow is sheer delusion. Wise men do not grieve for the dead or the living. Never was there a time when I did not exist, or you, or these kings, nor will there come a time when we cease to be. So the other half of it is that we will never not be. The form rises and then it dissolves into the formless. It's like salt. Each of us is like a speck of salt, and then it meets water and it dissolves in that water. It's not that it just ceases to be. Ramakrishna talks about the salt doll that goes to the bottom of the ocean to explore. The salt doll being the form, it goes into the ocean. It never comes back to tell of its experience because it just has melted totally. So we will never cease to be. The third thing I wanted to share related to this question of how does a yogi approach mortality, I came across a story in The Guardian, and it was written by a parent of a child who died. The parents were having a normal day. They put their kid to bed in the crib. The dad gets up in the middle of the night. He's like, the house is very quiet. Something's wrong. He goes to his son's room. His son is not breathing. It's like a parent's worst nightmare. They do everything that they can to revive their son. The paramedics come, and their son is revived after 27 minutes. They bring him back, but he's different. He has severe brain damage. Eventually, the doctors determined that he suffered with cerebral palsy. And so this article was about the father coming to terms with this process and his own grief and the grief of the mother as well. And what the father learned through allowing himself to feel what he felt, but also just through observation of Max is the name of his son, is that what mattered most in Max never changed. He said Max had the same light in his eyes. Max had the same joy. And so he was encouraging readers ultimately to be not attached to form, because although Max's form had changed, he said people would come up to him and speak of life before and life after, and he said that although the before looked really different, Max was the same. The love was unchanged. And so it is for each of us when we experience grief. We can feel our grief. We can feel the loss, but we're invited to keep moving forward anyway and see what does not change. Remember, the form is gonna form. It's just clay. It's just clay, meaning that it can be squeezed like this, it can be pulled that way, it could do this, it could do that. But there is a master potter at work. Connect with that, and that helps us to move through all of those stages. So, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so much. And I think, so for everybody, I think for a lot of humans, everyone has a basic question, will I be okay? I think that's the basic question, is like facing whatever I face, facing whatever my body goes through, whatever my heart goes through, whatever my mind goes through. When I leave the body, will I be okay? And so I think the yogic teachings are deeply practical because they help us, before we leave the body, come into contact with the reality that Acharya Kashi was just talking about. And so if you take that at its core, it's deeply practical. Each of us is invited to ask now, what in me never changes? And so what in me has been here from my earliest awareness, like however old you were at your earliest awareness, that was your divine light looking out through you, however old you were, whatever you were aware of, whatever country you were in, that awareness is still with you. and is still looking out through you. So I can give you an example, like currently I'm driving a 2014 car. I know I'm not that car. I'm driving that car right now. I'm the driver of that car. But I also consciously know I'm not this body. This is just a vehicle that I am using to navigate time and space. And so the more that we can become aware of that, and then what that means is I respect this. I want to take care of my car and respect it, and I bless it every time I drive it. I want it to be here, which means I need to give it fuel, right? And so for my body, that means I have an obligation. I want to be here to be of service, to share light. So I have an obligation to take care of this body. But also, I certainly don't identify myself with this body, and I don't identify anyone else with their body as well. And so to just ask yourself, what in me is always here? And it's going to be, like, whatever your word for it is, it's going to be that awareness, that curiosity, that, like, if you love to sing, it's the energy that sings through you. It's the energy that smiles through you. It's the energy that shines through you in whatever ways you love. When you are in contact with this energy, you are aware, I never die. The body dies. I never die. And so yogis have practical techniques. The techniques of meditation that we teach help you be aware in a very direct manner of your own immortality. So Swami Nityananda, I'm going to bring some humor into it. He said, yogis don't die. And he said, let's put that on a bumper sticker. And the reason is because like, there will come a point when I will not be driving my little car that I'm driving right now, right? There will be another car if it's right for me to have another car. And the same thing is actually true in relation to this physical vehicle that I'm in. And so then there's like a lightness, there's an appreciation, there's a, however old this body is, and I also just want to acknowledge there's people who listen and they're 11. There's people who listen in their 20s or their 30s or their 40s or their 90s. And you're likely to have a different relationship to this question about mortality depending upon where you are. And someone this week, we were talking about, this is a conversation we're going to have, and this person said, yeah, so many of my friends pass away. And this person's at a different decade in their life. And so to just be respectfully aware that you're likely, whatever your decade in your life is, to have your unique perspective. Whatever your perspective is, it's valid. But also turn within, and the basic question you're always asking is, how much love can I share? Because that's the value of your life. The love that you share, you never lose. It goes with you. And there is almost like an accounting, like we get to stand in the light when we leave the body, and the question is, how much love did you share? That's the question. That's it. It's not what was your bank account, what was your status, what was your role. It's how much kindness did you allow to share through you? And how much understanding did you gain? And how much understanding did you share? And so judgment melts away, and there's just a kindness, there's just a generosity. And so give yourself grace, be kind to yourself, be generous with yourself, love yourself. You are so loved, and it takes incredible courage to be here in a human body. I also just want to acknowledge that. Like, you are the brave beings of the universe being here on this planet. This is amazing. And so to just like look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge, I am courageous. This is the divine being courageous through me, being here in this time. And when you have this awareness, then you also have a direct awareness, I am always okay. No matter what it is that happens to the body, I am always okay. No matter what happens to the heart or the mind, when I leave the body, I will be always okay. Because each of us, and this is the truth, I know we can feel separate in time and space. That is an illusion. We are always connected. We are always cared for. And I'm not just talking like a little bit. I'm talking like all the love in the universe cares for you. And all the caring in the universe supports you. That which moves the sun and the stars and the planets, that is what is upholding you. and it upholds you when you're here in form, and it certainly upholds you when it's time to leave the form. And so if you can, just let yourself have a little bit more playfulness and humor and lightheartedness about it. It really is, I can use my shoes as an example. When I go home, I'm going to step out of my shoes, and I'm just like, that's pleasant. It really is like that. Don't be in a hurry to leave. Being here in embodiment is part of our soul's plan, part of our life purpose. And so we're here deliberately to experience how much love can I share when it's really hard to share love. That's when we're growing muscles, right? And so we are all like incredible triathletes, or whatever your metaphor for it is, marathoners, whatever your metaphor for it is. How much understanding can I share when my human self is just like, that makes no sense at all. And is like looking at that and is like, well, that's complete ignorance. How can I still open my heart and allow understanding and wisdom and kindness to share with me and also share through me?
Thank you, Swami. All right, on our next question. How can I live fully now knowing everything will change? You want to start, Swami?
Sure. So a couple of the things that I did, I wrote down some teachings from Swami Nityananda. So he was my teacher, and just like this being of radiant sunshine. He says, all fear arises from forgetting who we are. The life that is in me, the life that is in you, it's infinite. It's limitless. It's eternal. Share the light in abundance. Otherwise, we're wasting our time on earth. So you can just like give yourself that reminder, share the light, like put that on your mirror in the morning. Like that's your task for the day. Whatever the other to-do list items are, it's always just share light. He says, burst the bubble of self-defeatism. So that would be like anywhere that I'm holding myself back by doubting, and I'm sort of focusing on lack, or I'm feeling less than, or I'm feeling not enough, or I'm like, but I'm just a puny human. And so what he's reminding us is that as I open and as I just allow light to share through me, then what happens is I remember I'm actually not separate. And so then all the light that is shares through me. And so if I just kind of get my own doubt out of the way, and I say, here I am, like what's helpful, what's hopeful, what's kind, there will just be an effervescence, and there will be a clarity, and there will be a courage, and there will be a calm, there will be a kindness, there will be a generosity, there will be a joy that shares through all of us. It is a practice. Right? And so just be honest with yourself about, I'm dedicating myself to this practice. This is more important than judging myself. I'm dedicating myself to this practice. This is more important than judging others. Right? And so just notice whatever your patterns are that keep you from just, I'm here. How can I share light in abundance? He also says, what is it of matter consciousness that I have to renounce? I want to realize that I am an eternal being. What stands in the way? What beliefs and attachments do I have that keep me from knowing that I am eternal, that I will never, never die? And so if I'm identifying overly much with my body, that's an indicator that I'm sort of identifying with what's temporary rather than what's eternal. And so if that's something that's true for you, then offer your body consciousness to the light within you and just say, my heart is so vast, it gives me ability to love even my body consciousness, even the way I'm identifying myself with my body. And I open to be aware of that in me, which is eternal. And what happens then is you'll just be fully present in your daily life. And I know this sounds so simple, but if you just, as a practice right now, just say, I let go of the past. So if you feel like you've been carrying around heavy pain in relation to the past, just for this moment, I let it go. I let go of the future. So if you've been carrying around a lot of fear in relation to the future, just for this moment, you let it go. And you say, I'm here in the present. And in this moment, I stand in the light. And I just allow kindness to fill my heart. And I just allow light to fill my heart. What remains? What remains in that moment? And then Acharya Kashi was talking about this. From moment to moment, you just keep making that choice. You just keep making that choice to allow kindness to fill you and to share through you. It's so simple, but it transforms everything so that you live in a consciousness of being present in what the Buddhists call nirvana. In some traditions, it's called the Pure Land. In some traditions, it's called liberation. In some traditions, it's called the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven. And it's present. It's present and available for all of us as we simply practice this from moment to moment.
Welcome, Acharya Kashi from Awake Yoga Meditation. And if you are enjoying this content and you are ready for practical next steps like meditation, less stress, and more peace, I highly encourage that you subscribe to our Substack. You'll find the link in our description. Thank you, Swami. I peeked over to glance at the question again of how can I live fully now knowing everything will change? And I find peace in making peace. If I can make peace with the fact that everything will change, I can be at peace with the fact that everything changes. In some East Asian traditions, they speak of life in terms of seasons. And so they say that every life has 4 seasons. The first season is your spring season, That's when you're born till about age 18, maybe to 21. And then you have your summer season, where you're full of youth and full of passion. And then you have your autumn season, and then you have your winter season. And for every life, no season is promised. So some people come and they just have a summer season, and that's perfect. That's the way that grace wants to express itself through them. And then some people come and they'll have, 4 seasons. But one season is not more valuable than another season or has more inherent worth than a season. But death looks at every season in the same way. And so the invitation for us is to basically enjoy every season that we have, but the human mind and the human condition often is to judge the season that we're in or to judge a season that somebody else is in, and to also know that every season has its own elements in the same way that the winter often comes with cold, and depending on the region that you're in, it will come with snow. And the summer often comes with, a shining sun that is hot. And so as the body ages from birth on, it comes with its different elements. And so being able to make peace with that change allows us to be fully present now, regardless of what's going on with the vehicle, because the vehicle is going to change. That's just kind of how it is. On her deathbed, Harriet Tubman, she's reported to have said to her family who was there, I'm leaving now to prepare a place for you. And that, of course, was inspired by Jesus at the Last Supper in John 14, which I have here. He says to his disciples, who at this point know what's ahead, they know what's coming, or he knows what's coming. He says, do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, also believe in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you may also be where I am. I love this part right here. You know the way to the place where I am going. And so I just wanted to tie that with the seasons, to say that within each of us, there is the Father's house. That is with us always, whatever season we are in, before we enter a season, when we step out of these bodies, the energy that Christ speaks of, the energy that Christ represents, is with us always. And we know how to access it without being formless. Like, isn't that awesome that we don't have to be out of these bodies to come into contact with reality, to come into contact with love, to come into contact with peace? It doesn't matter if you are 5, if you are 50, if you are 90, it is available to each of us. So I rejoice in that. And Christ is reminding us that this place is prepared for each of us. There is an open door in every single heart to love and to peace and to clarity and to understanding in the midst of grief, in the midst of really hard circumstances. Christ was saying that knowing that his crucifixion was ahead. So whatever we're walking through humanly, we're walking also with love. And it is helpful. It allows us to be steady in the midst of change. And so that's a gift that we can give to ourselves when we live from that reality. And remembering too that death is not the end. Death is not the end. We're just, as Christ says, we're just returning to source. We're just going home. But the cool thing is, home is also here. So it's even less movement than we like to believe, than the human mind likes to frame it. All right, our next question. If I or a loved one am facing aging, mortality, and grief, what is supportive?
Do you want to do that one first? I think
Sure.
it might be your turn.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so I was meditating on the story of Lazarus and Jesus. In that story, Jesus is with his buddies, his disciples, and somebody comes and says, your friend is dying. You should go and visit Lazarus. Jesus says, I'll go visit him, but he waits 2 days. When he gets there, Martha and Mary, I believe, are Lazarus' sisters. They're crying, they're weeping, and they're like, Lord, why didn't you come 2 days ago? Lazarus is dead. He's died. We are inconsolable. We have such deep grief. They take Jesus to his body. Jesus is also overwhelmed with grief. The scripture says Jesus wept. He feels the loss of his friend. And then Jesus says, take me, let me go to the tomb. Lazarus will be awakened. So he goes to the tomb and he says, Lazarus, come on out of there, buddy. And Lazarus arises. Jesus tells him to take off his graveyard clothes and go. And so Lazarus does that. And I was meditating on this story as it relates to this question, like, what if we're aging or experiencing mortality or grief? And if we're alive, we're all aging. We're all facing mortality. And we may or may not be experiencing grief. Martha and Mary are like many of us when we experience grief, when we are in resistance to aging or to mortality. We're like, why, Lord? Why? Did you not hear our grief? Did you not get the messages that were sent to you to say that we are suffering? And that's normal human behavior. The story is also telling us the supportive thing is to feel your grief. Even Jesus wept. When we experience loss, it's normal to feel sadness. The invitation is not to stay there, to keep moving forward. So it's helpful to allow yourself to feel grief, to heal. My family, on my dad's side, we experienced a lot of grief. I mean, a lot of death from really close family members, to the point that it's only me and my dad and my sister and my brother. Our whole family is gone. And my dad has struggled to this very moment to deal with his grief. That is just a grief that is just very difficult for him to move through. And because he hasn't moved through that grief, it's like a weight. It's like he's always burdened by that weight. So when we allow ourselves to feel, when we allow ourselves to heal, it's like we put that weight down and we can move freely. The other thing that this story is making visible is that we have to let the process play out. We have to, when somebody's dying that we love, we have to just accept that that person is dying and we love them. And that's what is represented when Jesus, they get the message to Christ and he's like, okay, I'm gonna make my way. But it's not like he teleports there and saves Lazarus immediately. Sometimes that's what we're expecting of pure consciousness. We're like, I'm grieving this situation, I don't like it, fix it. we have to be willing to let the process play out, whatever that looks like. Whether it's like our bodies are getting older, let it play out, right? The point is that in the moment that we turn to pure consciousness is present. Pure consciousness is with us always, even as it plays out. And when we can make peace with that, that is when we gain the recognition that there is immortality. There is that which within us that never passes away, which is what ultimately the rising of Lazarus is representing. That's unchanging. And that's what Christ was trying to make visible. When he tells him to take off your graveyard clothes, the graveyard clothes are the things that we identify with, that keep us in the consciousness of death, essentially, because what we are cannot die. But as long as we are clinging to ideas about who we are, as long as we are resistant to the process and to the seasons as they unfold, as they were designed to unfold, it's like we're still clinging to limitation. So that is a statement for each of us. Take off your graveyard clothes. What am I willing to let go of today? What am I clinging on to that is causing me grief, to stay in grief rather, to keep my heavy load of grief? What am I clinging to that has me afraid of this natural, beautiful process called aging? Whatever it might look like, I'm willing to let that go. So the story of Lazarus is basically telling us, in terms of what's supportive, let go. Let go. Love who you are as you are, and pure consciousness is always with you. Allow the process to play out, and you don't have to bypass your grief. You don't have to bypass your human emotions. They are a part of the process. We just don't have to stay there. We can allow the energy of love and healing to naturally move us forward.
Thank you. I would just add, for someone who is caring for a loved one who is experiencing illness or approaching mortality, I would say to connect with meditation, connect with your spiritual ideal at the start. I know some people have joined us midstream, and so I'll just mention that there is recent research, like within about the last 20 years, including from a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, that if we meditate 12 minutes a day, it has a beneficial effect on our telomeres, which are these protective structures at the end of our chromosomes. And so the implication is meditate 12 minutes a day, it helps your own longevity. And so it helps your life force, because I've heard from many people who do serve as caretakers, sometimes it's of sick children, sometimes it's of older parents or a spouse. There is a stress and a way that your own life force is affected if you are caring for a loved one and being of service. So please be really steady in meditating 12 minutes a day. It protects your life energy. If you are a person, I know that there are some people who listen and they're like, 12 minutes, I can't sit still for 12 minutes. Chanting for 12 minutes also protects your telomeres. And so hop on to Zoom 10 minutes before our Sunday meditation, chant the Gayatri, and you'll learn the Gayatri, and then it's with you. And even if you're sitting by your loved one's bedside, or you're doing dishes, or you're driving, you're doing whatever you're doing, you can be chanting inwardly, silently, and giving yourself that protective effect. So I would say, like, really respect and honor yourself if you are sharing your life force with others in that particular way. I would also say that I have heard several stories, true stories, of people who are approaching the time when it's right, from their spiritual perspective, for them to leave the body, and they stay here because their loved ones don't want them to go. And so if you are a person who has a loved one who is approaching leaving the body, when you're ready, tell them, I love you and I want what's best for you. Please leave the body when the time is right for you. I love you so much that what I want is what is best for you. And I know your love stays with me. I know your strength stays with me. I know your support stays with me. If you are a person who is facing your own mortality, I would talk with your loved ones insofar as they're open to that, and just say, I recognize my own mortality. I am okay with it. I know that I am a spiritual being. This is part of my journey right now. After I leave the physical, my love and support will still be with you. And I also just want to say something about this. It is natural for humans to have awareness of the ongoing relationship, love, support, connection with our loved ones after they leave the physical. Open to that, however it's natural for you to open to that. In meditation, you often can get a feeling of just love, presence, connection, caring, support, so that our loved ones in the non-physical are able to just basically let us know, I'm okay. And what they want for us is to live our life in fullness. We are going to see them again. There is absolutely no question about that. So there doesn't need to be a rush. Like, they want us to be here and to live our lives in love, in joy, in happiness, to live in fullness and to unfold the light as much as we can for ourselves. So just really respect and honor your divinity. It exists independent of the condition of your body, independent of the age of your body. Honor and respect the divinity of your loved one. It exists independent of their age, their condition, whether or not they are in the physical, and we are so connected. So I know right now a lot of people have a consciousness of physicality that is very, very strong. If you soften that, you can become aware we are all connected. So if you have friends in the non-physical, they know what you go through. They know the choices that you are making, and they do their best to send you love and support and reassurance. People who are in the non-physical, just like people who are in the physical, have different styles of communication. And so be aware of that. They have different communication strengths, and people who are here have different reception strengths as well. But know for sure, the love is eternal, and you will see your loved ones again. And so if you can just sort of soften a little bit of the anxiousness and soften a little bit of the fear, we really never lose what is real. And so stay attentive to what is real. Base your relationships now on what is eternal. Base your relationships now on what is eternal. And then love just continues deepening. It continues expanding. It continues unfolding. It continues growing, no matter what. And then we're never, ever, ever separate from the reality and the realization of love.
Thank you, Swami. All right, our next question. What do I do if I feel loss of loved ones, youth, opportunity, time? Pass that to you, Swami.
Okay. So one of the ways to look at this, there's a couple teachings from, like this is one from Adi Shankar. Adi Shankar founded the ancient Swami order. My teacher, Swami Shankarananda, was named after him. And Adi Shankar says, a human life is like raindrops on a lotus leaf. Just imagine that. It's so beautiful. Like if you think of that, just the beauty of raindrops on a lotus leaf, but also fragile. And also precious. Mm-hmm. And so that just has the effect of focusing you on what is real and what really matters. And I know, like I've heard, I'll quote Acharya Premadas, I've heard him say, like, if I only had one thing to say, what would that be? And so for yourself, if you think about that, and I would actually add to that, say that. Say that one thing that you have to say, and say it to everybody in your life, and don't wait. Mm-hmm. Say it now. Say it today. And often it's just like, it's a really simple, I really appreciate you. I just want you to know, like, it's amazing. You are beautiful. Just you being you. Like, not anything extra, just you being you. And so let me say that all to everyone now who's listening to this. You are amazing. Not doing anything, just you being you. It is completely incredible. But this teaching from Adi Shankar, the traditional story about it is that he saw an old man who was focusing on learning grammar. And Adi Shankar was like, what are you doing? Like, that is not the most important thing you can learn. And so for yourself, if you just ask yourself, what is the most important thing I can learn? What is the most important thing I can give my life to? Because my life is a raindrop on a lotus leaf. Like, it's so beautiful. But also, like, from the perspective of the eternal, even if we live 108 years, that's like the blink of an eye in this perspective of the eternal. And so really allow yourself, not in a way that creates fear, but in a way that just creates absolute clarity. What is most important for me to learn? What is most important for me to express? What is most important for me to share? And then you allow that. And I also just want to say, like, don't let this create this incredible sense of urgency or pressure if you're like, but I don't like my job. That doesn't matter. You can still express love in the job you're in. You can still share kindness and light in the job you're in. And then as you share kindness and light and appreciation in the job you're in, and you bring that energy of kindness and love and appreciation and light to that job, if it's right for you to move to another job, it'll unfold naturally. And it happens as effortlessly as breathing. And so for you just to know, I mean, I'm focusing on the way that breathing, like I've the whole time I've been talking, I've been breathing fresh air in. I've been having to let go of what it's time to let go of in order to let fresh air enter my body. And so from the perspective of yogic teachings, Buddhist teachings, Taoist teachings, every breath is a letting go. Every breath is a gain and a loss. And so we are constantly participating in this inflow and this outflow, in this gain and in this loss. And so it's natural. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's part of respiration, it's part of our life force, it's part of our energy. And so when we have this awareness, then we really can be firmly grounded in the present. And we really can allow ourselves to feel it is an amazing gift to be here in this moment. There's never been another moment exactly like this one. And if you allow yourself to live in that awareness, then you're living in the consciousness of divine richness is with you always. Divine richness. And this is true no matter what the configuration of your life is, no matter where you were born or what kind of life you have lived, your life itself is an expression of divine richness. The life that is in you is divine treasure. And so if you just turn within and appreciate the life force that is within you, then what happens is you're able to greet, like whether it's your 4-year-old neighbor or I saw this young fox today on my early morning walk, you're able to greet whatever it is, and you're just able to see that is divine richness expressing through my 4-year-old neighbor. He calls the little area in front of my house his scooter track, which of course it is. It's not a street, it's a scooter track, which is so perfect. And the young fox, I was able to just like gaze at this young fox for a couple minutes. And so I was in enough stillness that it was like I wasn't there. And then when the young fox realized I was there, it kind of did this startle thing and it left. But if you allow yourself to be in that energy of stillness, it's like non-separateness is there. And so it's like the fox is able to be the fox. The nature is able to be the nature. The 4-year-old neighbor is able to be the 4-year-old neighbor. And what happens then is they share their preciousness with you. They share their wildness with you. Like they share what you would never be able to see if you were walking around like in a consciousness of, okay, I've got to do this, and then I've got to do this, and I also want to say, really important, I am a responsible adult. It's really important to still be a responsible adult, but connect with that beingness first. Connect with that divine richness first. And then you're in this energy of playfulness, even while you're attending to your wonderful adult responsibilities as well.
Thank you, Swami. I'm gonna let that one ride. That's a perfect way to end it. Excellent. So I will offer a prayer, and then Swami will follow up. Heavenly Father, God, we just give absolute thanks for the richness of life. We ask that you continue to teach us to love, to choose kindness and understanding and upliftment and encouragement. Teach us to live as the truth that we study. Amen.
I will offer a silent blessing, and I think this is a blessing to help us just feel and appreciate our life force and to let go if we have been carrying a heavy weight of grief if we have been feeling any fear, to just let go of those things, and in this moment to appreciate the divine richness of the life force that is within us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen.